What I want to do in today's video is show you everything you need to know about Claude Design, step by step. Claude Design is an incredibly powerful tool, but that is only if you know how to use it. In this video, I'm going to break down exactly what it is, exactly what it can do, and exactly how you can get the most out of it, starting today. So you can get it by going to claude.ai/design. It's important to know that it's not in the Claude desktop or mobile app yet, but it is on the web, which means that it's actually an Anthropic Labs project, which means that it's experimental, but it does work. It works really well here. When you open up Claude Design, the first thing you'll notice up in the top left corner is the big Claude Design text with that little beta tag underneath it. That beta label is your reminder that this is a newer product, so features may shift around as Anthropic keeps building it out. Right next to that, running across the top, you've got your main navigation tabs. We're currently sitting on Recent, which is basically your home base showing your latest activity. Then there's Your Designs, which is the full library of everything you've made, and you can see all of them down here. Design Systems is where things get powerful for branding. That's where you'd store reusable styles, colors, and components, so all your work stays visually consistent. And we're going to come back to this one. Trust me, this is big. And Examples is the tab I'd send beginners to first, because that's where you can poke around at sample projects to see what's actually possible before building your own. Basically, where you can see design projects that other people have created and get inspiration for your next design project. Over on the top right, you've got a Search Designs bar, so you can quickly jump to any project by name once your library gets big, and then that little circle with CE in it is your account avatar, which is where you'd manage your profile and settings. Now, another thing you can do here is that you can use connectors or MCPs inside Claude Design, and this is where you can do that. If I click on connectors, you'll see that you can easily connect to GitHub, and if you want to connect to more MCPs, you click on Browse Directory. So all these are Claude.ai connectors that they've synced over for use in Claude Design as well. Then also in this menu is where you can access your usage limits to know how far you've gone with your usage. Now, enough of the navigation tabs, and let's move on to the good part of Claude Design. Notice the Make Something New section. Notice right beside that heading, there's a Design System None drop-down. This is a nice touch because before you even start, you can tell Claude which design system to apply, so your new creation automatically inherits your brand's look. Right now, it's set to None, meaning a blank slate. Claude makes the style choices. Claude picks the colors. Claude also picks the fonts, and a lot of that. If I click on this drop-down here, this page will pop up. And from here, I can give Claude Design the design system to use. In that way, all the designs I'm going to create will have my brand's blueprint, my specific colors, my fonts, the way the buttons look, the spacing, the style that makes something feel like it came from my company and not somebody else's company or an AI. And again, if you don't already have one, you can click on Create Design System to create a new one. Now, if you hit Create, you now have this Create Using Claude Code option. This is especially applicable if you have an existing design system made up of React components. That'll be a tutorial for another video, so make sure you subscribe to the channel for that. But by now, I know that you already have the idea of what a design system is. Moving to the next part of the Claude Design interface is your template cards. And these are your starting points for your design. These are the main types of designs that you can make with Claude Design, laid out for you right here. Let me run through them left to right. First up is Start with a File, which lets you upload something you already have and turn it into a design. This means you could import a Figma file, a JPEG, a PNG, an HTML file, pretty much anything that you want Claude Design to build out in the canvas. Then, Slides, for presentations and pitch decks. This means you're telling Claude what the presentation is going to be about, and it's going to build you a PowerPoint presentation, or just a presentation deck. Next is Product Prototype, for building interactive app mockups, so clickable, functional-feeling designs. After that, Product Wireframe, which is a rough sketch for exploring ideas quickly. That's for those low-fidelity screens and flows, basically the skeleton of an app before you add the polish. Then, Document, for things like resumes and PDFs. If you scrolled the carousel to the right, you'll have Animation, described as motion graphics, and loops. You can see it's got that little play button icon on the thumbnail, which is a nice visual cue. This is your go-to when you want movement. So animated graphics, looping visuals, that kind of thing, rather than a static design. And then the very last card on the right. This is a great one to know about, blank canvas, which simply says, start from scratch. This is your total freedom option. No template, no predefined structure, just an empty workspace where you build whatever you want from the ground up. So if none of the other presets fit what's in your head, this is where you'd start. Finally, scroll down a touch and you hit the Designs table. This is your project list. It's organized into 3 columns: name, last viewed, and owner. In this example, we've got 6 projects: design system, brainy automation design system, motion graphic demo 2, and so on, all owned by me. Each one has a little colored icon next to it, and clicking any row would open that project up so you can keep editing. Now that you're familiar with the interface, let's move on to the second step of the video, which is creating your first design. So let's build something together right now so you can see how this thing actually works. So I'm going to click prototype. I'm going to create a landing page for the best dog treat that's out there, which is a monthly dog treat subscription business. But before we do that, let me give you a little glimpse of this workspace. Here, you see your chat on the left. You see your creations on the right. Everything that you build will happen in here. Then on the left, you're going to see Start with Context. Now, this is completely optional. Just want to throw that out there. But this is where you can connect your design system. Like I said earlier, this is where you give Claude your brand's blueprint, so everything Claude builds inherits your colors, fonts, and components. And again, if you don't have that yet, don't worry, because Claude can still give you something unique. But you can also add things like a screenshot of something that you want Claude to reference. You can attach a code base, which is the code behind an existing website or app if you have that. Or you can bring in a Figma file, which is the design tool a ton of teams already use. Notice it's got a little question mark help icon next to it. So if you're unsure how that connection works, that's where you'd get guidance. And listen, you don't have to use any of these if you don't want to. You can go straight to the prompt box, which brings us to that prompt composer down in the bottom here. And there's more packed in here than you'd expect. At the top left of the box, there's a design system dropdown, another spot to pin a design system to this specific prompt. The big field is your prompt itself, with the placeholder, describe what you want to create. This is where you type the thing you want built. Just below that, you'll see 2 little pills, hi-fi design and interactive prototype, each with an X to remove it. Those are pre-applied tags. They're telling Claude, before you even type, that you want a polished, high-fidelity design that's clickable and interactive. Because they've got that X, you can pop them off if you want something different. You can also drag files straight into the canvas right here if you want to. Then, the bottom row of the composer. You have a plus button for attaching or adding files, and a lot more, which we're not going to go into in this video. Also, next to that, we have a little waveform icon for voice input, if you'd rather talk than type. So now let's actually build something here. I'm not going to add any files here, but I am going to type, build me a landing page for Chew Crew, a monthly dog treat subscription with a hero section, features, pricing tiers, customer reviews, and a footer, which, just so you know, are all standard elements of a website layout. Now, I think this is interesting. Watch what happens. Before Claude builds anything, it's going to ask me a bunch of questions to understand the project better. Now, remember, I didn't give it anything, so it's going to ask things like, what's the vibe? How many sections do I want? You can answer these yourself if you'd like, or if you don't know, you can just say, decide for me, and then Claude's going to handle the entire thing. Okay, I'm going to answer a few of these here, but I'm going to let Claude decide most of it. And look at that. We have a full navigation at the top. We have a hero section, and if I scroll down, we'll see the features, the pricing, the footer, and this actually looks like a real website. And you'll notice over here on the right that we can start tweaking this if we want to. And we haven't even gotten to the editing part yet, and we're already starting to see some of these options, which is really cool. We're going to dive into that here in a few seconds. But before we do, I'm going to show you just a couple more examples. So now we already have a website. So I went back to the home screen here. I clicked on slide, and then I'm going to type create an animated investor pitch deck for Chew Crew, a monthly dog treat subscription business. Claude's going to ask me the same types of questions. You can answer them if you want to. So let's let it cook. and see what it comes up with. Okay, so these aren't ugly default slides. These actually look pretty good. Some are animated. It looks like they're properly formatted. It looks like a professional presentation. And I can't tell you how many times I've opened up PowerPoint and stared at a blank white page, just wondering where to start. And this is the answer. This is it. This can create it for you if you want. Okay, so let's do one more example here. We have our website. We have our pitch deck for investors. So now I'm going to type in create a mobile app for Chew Crew, where customers can manage their subscription, set up their dog's profile, track deliveries, and reorder treats. Claude is going to ask me some clarifying questions. It's going to ask about different types of screens and styles, and how I want it to be interactive. But let's let it cook, see what it comes up with. Okay, just a few minutes later, I have this fully interactive app prototype. It has multiple screens, working navigation, shopping tracking, a shop dashboard. This is everything that I asked for, and I can actually click through it. Take a look. This looks like a real app. It just blows my mind. So you see what we can do with Claude Design. This is a great tool so far, which takes us to the next step in this video, which is refining your design. So Claude Design built you something, but it may not be exactly right. The good news here is that you're not stuck with whatever it gave you. You can actually start to refine it along the way. So let's edit a few things here. You really have 4 ways to do it, and they make it super easy. First, which is kind of crazy here, is that you can draw. You can click Markup right here to draw and sketch on the canvas. You want an image here, it's going to put an image here. You draw a box, you draw a sidebar, you draw a rectangle. Claude is going to interpret what your sketch is, and then it's going to build it for you. Second, you can leave comments. You click on any specific element. You leave a comment like, make this button bigger, or change this into 2 different columns. And then Claude is going to fix just that one thing for you. And then third, you can just edit directly. You click Edit, you click on any text, you change it, and then it's fixed. And fourth, the Tweak tab here can change things like color schemes or layout variations, dark mode, light mode. You can swap between them if you want to without prompting anything. Okay, so we've made some designs that we really like. We refined them, and now we're thinking about what we're actually going to do with them. And that brings us to the next step in this video, which is exporting and Claude Code. Now, when you're ready to share or export your designs, click the Share drop-down up here. You can manage who can access these designs, whether it's just you or your entire workspace. Then there's a dedicated tab for export. For designers, the zip file or the standalone HTML is going to be most relevant for you. But what you'll probably find most useful is the Send to Claude Code feature. Claude Design can hand off bidirectionally to Claude Code or vice versa. Check this out. I just hit send, copy this prompt, or download it as a zip file instead, and I can hand it over to Claude Code to import the entire Claude Design project so that I can continue iterating on it here. After all, some people will prefer Claude Code over Claude Design, which makes this a really helpful feature for me when I do want to start off in Claude Design. Now, because the handoff is bidirectional, this means that I can take any project that I'm working on inside Claude Code and keep working on it inside Claude Design when I want that more designer-focused canvas view. So that's everything you need to know about Claude Design. Drop a comment letting me know what you're building right now and what video you want us to cover next. And also, don't forget to subscribe. I'm going to be doing a full build video on Claude Design where I share everything, starting from the beginning, and I work you all the way from building your design system to the end, building something like a really professional website. And I'll catch you in the next one.